Welcome back to the show. On the next Hot Seat Media Monday, we're going to have some songs from musical guests Jennifer and Jessica Lawrence. They make up Ophelia's Looking Glass, and we'll also be hanging out with Jacob Lasher, who's debuting a new documentary series on YouTube. Also, Chelsea Plows, who's going to be this week, she'll be next week. She's going to be the first female student to graduate in New York State from BOCES with a P-Tech degree in engineering. So it's going to be great. So that's next week on the Hot Seat, right here on 95.5 FM The Heat. But this year, tomorrow, voters in New York State will be asked to vote on a proposal to authorize the state to use up to 323 acres of forest preserve in the Adirondack Park for ski trails and related facilities at the Mount Van Hoeven Olympic Sports Complex. Charlie Perrotta is here to tell us more about this. And Charlie, until I saw your Facebook post this past weekend, I had never heard about this proposition whatsoever. So how did you know about it, and what's it all about?
So it seems like a lot of people have kind of run into that scenario where they didn't know much about it. And even being an environmentalist myself, I didn't actually hear about this officially being on the ballot until just a couple of weeks ago. I had actually seen it on social media from one of the Adirondack pages that I do follow. And they had brought up that it was officially going on as Prop 1 on the back of the ballot by New York State.
Surprise.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking, especially seeing as, so just to preface.
Yeah, let's explain this. So Mount Van Hoevenberg, we remember from the Olympics.
Exactly.
And so it's a sports complex that's already in the Adirondack Park.
Correct. So it was put back there, we're talking years and years ago, before I was born. But what happened was that was actually never officially authorized. It was done against the law. We have a New York State constitutional act that says you're supposed to forever wild, exactly, and it applies to the entirety of the Adirondack Park, which you can fit every national park in the country in the park and still have room.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's
even
that big, including Yellowstone. You can even fit parts of Alaska in there and still be good. You could fit the entire Grand Canyon and still be good. You don't even have to turn the thing.
We don't realize how lucky we are.
Exactly, and it's the one of the most unique places in the country and in the world, because something I'd like to start with that I've found recently is catching everybody's attention that they don't know is the Adirondacks are one of the very few places on the planet that is looking to, within the next 100 years, become what's called a temperate rainforest. So the only other one that we have in the United States is actually in the Smoky Mountains. So if you think of that area where it's real rainy, it has that rainforesty vibe. It's because it is. Yeah. So the Adirondacks, as long as it's kept forever wild and it's allowed to make that progress, the Saranac Lake, Placid Lake area is expected to be the next temperate rainforest in the world. That happens to be the exact same area they are trying to do this in.
Wow. So what are they trying to do?
Yep. So what they're doing is they want to take the 323 acres that's already taken, that they already took against, with no authorization for the Van Hoeven Olympic Complex. Yep. And they want to add in more jumps, more trails, more paved courses, parking lots, admin buildings, places for the athletes to stay. And I understand bringing people in for tourism. Right. I am all for it, but I believe that we should be doing it smart with the environment in mind. So what they're looking to do is take 1,000 acres in total. Mm-hmm. They want to trade 2,500 acres and say, hey, we're going to give you guys this back. But the problem there is they want us to vote on this now, not telling us what part of the Adirondack Park of those 2,500 acres is going to be given to us. There's no guarantee that those acreage are actually being endangered.
That's what the point. Like some acres aren't equal. Like
exactly. Yeah. So this land is worth nearly $63 million that they're looking at.
Wow.
On average, the estimates that most people are looking at that we would likely get back for the 2,500 range between 2 to 10 million.
Yeah.
That is such a big difference.
And if it's environmentally sensitive, the price is actually incalculable.
Exactly. Exactly.
So how does this work? There is Lake Placid.
Yep.
There's Lake George. So there are people that live in the Adirondack Park. There's theme parks, there's businesses, houses, and stuff. How does it work? What can you and can't you do in the Adirondack Park?
So I actually made sure to write that down. So within the park, you're allowed to make Nordic and biathlon trails. So hiking trails, skiing trails.
Yeah.
You're allowed to do day lodges, offices as long as they're related to the park, parking for say, trails and things like that, snowmaking for things like gore, whiteface, which I'm going to get back to shortly, and then restrooms.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is you can do up to 5 kilometers of what they call paved training loops, that was put in place because of the Lake Placid Sports Complex, right? So the Van Hoven.
Yeah.
What is not allowed though is you can't have hotels, you can't have resorts, you can't have condos, zip lines, pools, tennis courts.
And those things are all just like purely commercial.
Exactly, but people have been trying to push in with those.
Yeah.
And that is one of the main reasons why I've been trying to speak out so heavily.
Right.
And one of the other notes is you can't have any commercial activity above 2,200 feet.
What does that mean?
So,
like on the mountains? Like
correct. So above the elevation of 2,200 feet, you can have no commercial activity.
Okay.
That's a key thing here.
Why?
Because the same organization, which is ORDA, they're a New York State chartered organization. It's the Olympic Regional Development Authority. So they're kind of like the Thruway, where they are technically chartered by New York State, but they are a private entity at the same time. Okay. So they are the same ones who own Gore, Belair, and Whiteface.
Wow.
Which, first glance, great.
Yeah.
Until you think about the fact that Whiteface, on September, I believe it's 22nd, I have it written down here. Yes, 22nd. They got hit with a DEC fine, multiples of them, because the exact same thing that they're telling us are going to be protected by this proposition, they violated every single one of them.
So this organization that wants further governance
correct
is mismanaging with the power that they
exactly, and they're telling us that, oh, don't worry, everything will be okay, we'll follow all these protections, but they haven't even, but they haven't even followed them even up until last month. Wow. They permanently destroyed part of Whiteface, they ruined a stream bed, they eroded away part of the mountain by changing the drainage, they built above 2,800, they built new jumps that weren't even authorized, and none of the work they did was authorized. Then they brought in commercial construction vehicles, which you also can't do.
Wow.
So this is the same organization that's telling us that
wants us to vote yes.
Exactly. So, and that's where I have an issue where I'm not, like I said, I'm not against them coming in and doing development to bring more people in. I love the idea of people seeing nature and getting to experience the Adirondacks. But we have to have the Adirondacks for that nature to be here.
Why?
So a big thing about it is a lot of our trees and everything are already at risk. So from fungus, bugs, and everything that have come in.
You mean the trees that are like in the
Adirondacks themselves? Yep. So our ash trees and our it starts with an H. One of our, I'm sorry, I can't remember the other one off the top of my head.
There's a lot of trees.
Yep. So, but one of the other ones, they're directly currently at risk of extinction. We realistically won't be able to stop that. But what we can do is continue to keep the trees that are there, because what'll happen naturally from the rainforest that I was telling you about that will eventually be there is the hardwoods are going to migrate to the top of the mountains, the upper portions, and we'll have more softwoods, which are way more fragile, way more easy to hurt and harm, and they won't come back as easily. But as long as we can keep these here, you keep the nature and the forest and everything that, I mean, I grew up, in these forests. So many people. What does all this mean to you? This is everything to me.
As an artist, as a human?
Yeah, as even outside of being, a photographer and a nature photographer and all that, I just love being in nature. So for me, this is like almost threatening home, I guess is the best way to phrase
us,
it.
Like as New Yorkers too, like there's something about the Adirondacks. That's like our thing.
Exactly. Like we have the Catskills. Don't get me wrong. We have the Finger Lakes, but everyone will almost always point to the Adirondacks.
Like leave it alone.
Exactly. There's so much there, and 60% of it is private owned. Which is
shocking.
It's extremely shocking. Yeah.
And kind of like not a good thing.
I personally wish that it wasn't that way, but I also believe that there's not a way for us to then say, oh, we need that land back.
Exactly. There's really no way to like.
Exactly.
Right.
But what I would.
But you can prevent it from damage.
That's exactly it. And New York State has done a fairly good job in the past of protecting this area, of keeping it safe.
Now?
I hate to say it, but I think money. Wholeheartedly, I think it comes down to money. I mean, they're looking at, upwards of 100 million plus in profits just from this if they're able to get this Prop 1 to go through.
Yeah.
Just from the Olympic sports complex.
Now, with Prop 1, there are some who are saying, like, pointing out that part of the problem is that Mount Van Hoevenberg, they've already done some of this work.
Yep.
And that it's like actually unconstitutional now, and
Yes.
that this proposal will make it constitutional, which seems like an odd reasoning to me.
And that's
Can
exactly
you speak
it.
to that?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So it was illegal for them to put it there. They're now asking for it to be legal, but what that does
Well, it
is
was illegal.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
And now
sorry.
they want us to make it legal.
and now they want us now they want it to be
And they want
legal
to do
retroactively.
even more. Yeah.
Yes, and they want to more than double it.
Yeah.
But then that opens a hole for what happens if somebody else near the Lake
The next
George area
person, right.
say they want to come in with something.
Right.
Well, now we have no defenses to push back on them because now we've already opened the door. Or say a logging company wants to come in and they come in under the guise of another company, which that is exactly what happened in South America. We're dealing with that in the Amazons right now.
With what?
So there are logging companies down there where, for the first time ever, we're having wildfires in the Amazon rainforest, the wettest place on the planet. And they came in under the guise
I
of
did not know.
tourism.
Yeah.
But that's exactly why I try and speak on it, because most people don't know about
What could all
this.
this do? Like, for us in New York State, like, I've been saying this for many years. Like, I've lived here my entire life.
Yeah.
And I've seen things change. Like, for example, like Queen Anne's lace used to bloom like in the very late autumn.
Yes.
Now it's like in July, sometimes 4th of July. Tiger lilies too, way months early than they should. Everything has changed.
Yeah.
And like I feel as
Monarch
if no one's
butterflies.
pointing at monarch butterflies. that just
The migration
decline.
patterns have changed.
Yeah, like what are you seeing? Like what's changing and what's happening?
So this is a topic that's really hard for people to genuinely grasp. There's a side of climate change, which is human caused,
Yeah.
but there's also another side of it that gets kind of lost in that conversation, which is that the Earth genuinely does go through changes.
Mm-hmm.
The Earth will wipe out an entire section of its own forest,
Yeah.
and it'll seem like there's no reason. And 40 years later, it blooms, and there's all of these trees that we didn't even know could ever grow there, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
nature has a crazy way of going about that. But we have to make sure that we keep the nature there so that it can balance itself. At the moment, migration patterns have shown in the past to have changed for the butterflies. So they've gone farther west in the past, and then they've come back. So we're seeing similar trends with that. But the other side of it is we're seeing drastically drier temperatures now, like drier experiences, especially in the summer like we had this year.
Right.
So if we start tearing down trees, if we start building more buildings up there and, eliminating the stream beds like just got done at Whiteface,
Yeah.
we're losing a lot of that natural
What does it
groundwater.
mean when you eliminate a stream bed?
So they went in with the construction vehicles I told you about. They actually damaged permanently the stream bed itself, so it no longer can flow properly, and also polluted it.
Wow.
So now that portion of the bed is now, I'll call it toxic, but it's not. It's not lethal to the animals, but it is harming it. It's
Yeah.
leaching into the ground. It's leaching chemicals, but at the same
It
time,
probably
it's
doesn't
changed.
oxygenate properly.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and fish are going to be directly affected.
Yeah.
But then on top of it, it changes the water flow. So most of our rivers and our mountains were created by active water flow. So then if we go in and alter it, it'll never go back to where it was. So say you change something 1,000 feet up, and you alter a riverbed. Well, now say 1,000 feet, maybe 1,500 feet down, maybe there was a tributary that branched off that relied on that additional water that was pouring through
Yeah.
that now is gone.
Right.
So you've now there's a chain effect because off that tributary, there's more tributaries. So that is what we're dealing with here. The moment you start damaging one thing, like they're trying to do, it has a massive chain effect with everything else where you'll leach groundwater out, you'll put toxins into the ground, you'll cause trees to die out, fungus to die, and all of these are so important to the ecosystem of the Adirondacks. Everyone looks at these little things as just one little thing, but you can't have one of them without
Right.
all of them.
It's like a cascade effect.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
moment you remove one, it all just starts falling apart. And the trees are the number one most important ones up there.
And that's what they want to chop down.
Yes, and that's exactly what they want to chop down. I mean, on the 22nd, for one of the fines, they chopped down 40 trees.
Wow.
30
Wow.
trees.
Yeah.
Unauthorized.
And those trees have been there for years and years. and
Hundreds of
years.
years.
Yeah, right.
Some
So
of
it's
them
not like just-
hundreds, some of
right,
them,
right.
maybe not as
Yeah,
much, but
hundreds
even
of-
then.
right, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you think about our ash trees, something that people don't think about that. We have a very unique population of ash trees here in New York State. What people don't realize is they don't just grow, right?
Yeah.
They don't grow naturally like, say, a pine tree would. You don't just throw a seed in the ground. They grow from devastation. So wildfires is one of the key things that ours have grown from. Wildfires and the glacier ripping everything apart.
Okay.
So they grow in the remnants of destruction.
Yeah.
We can't just repopulate that.
Right.
And a lot of the trees that are
Those
being
conditions
taken,
can't be recreated.
exactly. And a lot of our trees originally were not actually fire hardened. Over time, from Native Americans and all that, from setting their own controlled fires, actually created that and caused evolution. Right? So there's different sides of this where you can benefit the land while still working with it.
Right.
But you can also destroy the land while working with it. And I just believe that we should go the route of find ways to beneficially work with the land while still bringing in tourism to get, I'm okay with the Olympics being here. I'm okay with bringing in tourism and getting more money into the area. We need it.
Yeah.
But we can't lose the heart of what we have in our nature and our environment to gain it.
So what's your message overall about Prop 1?
So I genuinely hope that people vote no on it, and I hope that it does get declined. But the main reason I hope for that is I hope it goes back to the drawing board. I don't necessarily want this to never happen. I do want something good to come of this. I want good protections. I want actual, maybe not even punishments, but recourse for companies and organizations that violate it. And then I just want more notice on this. I want more people to be able to see it and be aware of it and not have it slipped through like it was.
Yeah. So Prop 1, tomorrow flip the ballot. You're having people vote no on this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've been talking today to Elizabeth Fortino, who's running for New York State Supreme Court, and Charlie Perrotta has been here to tell us about Prop 1 on the ballot tomorrow. I'll have that story about the Books and Bites Adult Book Fair on my YouTube channel, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook pages tonight at 9 o'clock. And I'll have this entire episode online Wednesday at uticaphoenix.net/Medium Monday. Our sound engineer is Jonathan Brooks. He's DJ Jay Easy. He's up next with the Easy Ride Home. Jim Hale records the show for YouTube and podcast, and he's our AI content producer. Lily Christopher is our associate producer. Nabil Khan is our entertainment correspondent. And I'm Ryan Klopfanstein. I'll be back next week with another Hot Seat Medium